I believe the theater experience is unique for the actors and the audiences because it's the it's kind of like an ephemeral moment in time. It's more of unexpectancy on both ends, uh, suspending the disbelief more on the one side of the audience to the actor, disbelieving in that they're actually seeing a play, but they're actually seeing something in reality, as opposed to with the actor or the female or male actor to the audience, just putting myself in that predicament because I've, been in some of my own productions myself and just being a performer on a stage. I believe it gives a sense of time, no sense of time, no sense of uh, the world standing still for a few moments and escaping from your reality and creating your own way based upon the writer's words and interpreting it in a particular way to create a picture of um, whatever reality that the director, writer, to the actor, actress, to the audience. So there's a lot of dimensions there. But I think the main key to all of this is uh, suspending the disbelief on both ends of the actor and the theater goer, suspending the disbelief of what they're seeing, and the actor suspending themselves away from who they are and being creating their own another persona for people to believe.
Theater is unique compared to other media because it's completely live. I mean, movies and television shows are obviously pre-recorded. Books are pre-written. I suppose you could liken theater to performing live music, but then at the but then that's also pre-written songs, and also that's kind of a different thing. So as far as storytelling media, theater is unique. You're performing it right there. It doesn't exist to be performing right there in front of the audience, and then they're watching it live, and their reactions could actually end up shaping how it comes across, what its effect is on people.
The theater experience is a unique experience either for the audience or for the actor, because it happens through a connection that has to happen in that moment. And it's one lifetime experience. Every time you repeat a show, the premises, the way you go on the stage, the way you feel that day, the way you say what you're saying, it's happening in that moment, in that present. Theater pertains to the present, and after that can live forever in people's mind and imagination and memories. But it's something that you have to be there to live it. So it's something that needs being focused, being into it. So it needs commitment from both sides. That's why it's so unique. It's like love. If I fell in love with you, but you are not here to live my love, to accept my love, to receive my love, and vice versa, it's not going to happen. That's not present. That's not action. The theater is an action between audience and the actor emotionally. So it's not even about what we say on the stage. It's about what we feel for each other in that moment. That's why it's so unique and amazing.
So I think one of the things that I find really compelling about sort of the actual experience of, theater as a mode of communication, cultural exchange, sharing time with people, again, with the background in music I have, it's a lot of the same sorts of things that excite me at playing a show or being part of an audience of a music show. People talk a lot about this idea of liveness, which is definitely a part of it. But I think there's something, and there are different sorts of theater or concerts that you can go to, but particularly those ones that have a kind of intimacy where it seems like there's a desire for some kind of exchange between, say, the people, proverbially on stage, or whatever the format of the theater is, and the people who are the hypothetical audience. That desire for something to move between those people in the moment in which that space is kind of enacted, I think is what feels really special to me about theater as a tradition. Other media forms that are more kind of unilateral or broadcast oriented, that there's sort of a fixed media form that's being delivered to someone, of course, can do a lot of phenomenal things as well. But there's nothing for me as a performer quite like the experience of being in a place with other people, and just, I guess, the way that it feels inside my body and my mind, sort of performing something I've written or being part of something that someone else has put together. And the way I think of it is as sharing it with the people who are there. It's just incredibly, I think, pleasurable experience, and also one where, in the maybe less pleasurable moments, when there's moments of tension or anxiety, I feel like opens me up to sort of the most rapid form of learning and discovery. Just the kind of awareness that I feel like I can have of other people and myself in those circumstances is very different than, say, even like right now, where, as you might detect, there's a little bit of a digging in my mind for the right words to pull out and put forward. And sometimes it's nice to get away from that version of myself and be, what people might call a little more present. And so I think that's one of the things that's really special about the tradition of theater and the different ways that people augment that tradition.
Why is the theater experience so unique? I think it's unique for the very reason that I said, especially before COVID, and it's changed that. COVID has changed the theater experience because we can gather together for over a year, but it's live. It's like in person. You're there. You hear people react, and you connect. The connection you have when you have this live experience, and I think it was me both as an audience member when I go and see really amazing theater that just transports me somewhere else, and as an actor, the opportunity to take somebody on a journey that they share a story that they may not have thought about before, or to share a story that they realize they relate to. So we get to share stories, and it's fun to walk through the journey of somebody else. I mean, I've played lots of different characters throughout my career that were different from me, but yet there was a relatable heart there. So, the journey of being in a live space and going through an experience together. And that's what I love about it.
Why is theater unique? It's the live. It's just the it's the magic that happens with community, because for that 1 hour, that 2 hours, you're on hopefully you're on some sort of an emotional roller coaster ride with a community, even if that community only lives for a couple of hours in that theater, you're bonding, and if you go in a movie theater and you watch the flat screen, okay, you know, it's kind of similar, you know, people are talking or whatever, but when it's live and you can suspend everything else, it's more immersive emotionally, in my opinion, than a flat screen.
The theatrical experience is very unique because I'm used to film and television, and it's a lot more concise, but the stage allows you to be more authentic in ways that you can't do on film. On film, you can get up really close and really kind of like tune into what the person's thinking. But when you're on stage, you can kind of even not so close, you could really feel the emotions of the characters a lot more, because it adds a space for the actors to feel and for the audience to be receptive. And that's like a whole new field that you can't get on screen. So it's kind of like now I could put people in front of other people and kind of try to communicate emotions as opposed to lines, and as opposed to shots, which is really cool, because it's like you could empathize so much more, and you could project onto the character a little bit easier. It's less judgmental. It's more of the relationship between the audience and the person, as opposed to any other format.
So the theater experience is a unique experience, very different from TV or film, both for the actor and the audience, in the fact that you're there physically in the same space. So yeah, you can get caught up emotionally looking at your big screen TV or at the movie screen at AMC. And you can really get caught up in the storylines there. But when you're in person, in the same room, you're sharing the same energy with the audience. The audience is feeling the energy from the actors and vice versa. And that real in-person experience, it almost makes the experience more tangible. Like you could reach out and touch that person physically. Well, not if you're in a really huge theater space and they're in the back row, but it's a whole different experience, because for the audience, not only are you sitting there experiencing what's happening on stage with those actors or with those characters and in those situations, but you're in a room full of other spectators that are sharing that same experience as you, and you can get caught up in that. And then as an actor, you feel that energy coming from the audience, and you feed on that, you thrive on it. You know, if you're making somebody laugh in the audience, you know, instinctually as a human being, you want to make them laugh even more. Or if you're bringing them to a really sad place, you know, when you feel their sadness by what you're creating for them, it makes it really an immediate experience. I really feel for TV and film actors, you know, it's tough for them for sure, but they don't get that immediate gratification of an audience, of seeing an audience's reaction to their artistry. As a stage performer, you get that. If they don't like a show, you're going to know it. You know, they're not going to laugh or they're not going to applaud. But if you're giving them a top-notch experience, they're going to be with you every step of the way for that.
Theater is so unique because the actors, I feel, they have to live that character. It's not just a close, tight shot where you get to kind of feel for a moment and then you cut. You feel for a half hour, an hour and a half, depending how long the play is. You step into those shoes. A director once told me when I was doing theater back in Atlanta that acting is the rare privilege to be able to step into the shoes of someone else for a brief period of time and then remove yourself. And so that discipline of it, I think, is most realized in theater. You are living that character. And so I think that to see your words come to life in that medium, you know, you're not inches, but you are feet away from other people. And so you're living it with this audience and you feel that. And so therefore you also respond to it. My play is a dark comedy. And I think that especially with comedy, being able to feed off the energy of a live audience is unbelievable. It's game changing. And there's this kind of electricity and you come out of it as an actor afterwards, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, I was there. I was present in the moment, present that time. And as a writer, I think that theater is it's a way of making the audience feel like they're in on it as well. And they're part of the play. They're definitely a character.
I find it's thrilling. I mean, I don't know a better word for it. The live theater, and I guess it does really come back down to the fact that it is live, and that I think the audience responds differently communally to a film, because there's something about that experience too, right? About being in a theater, even watching a movie with other folks, and hearing the laughter and responding to their laughter and generating your own. But even that experience, I think, is different when it's live, because it's not ever going to be replicated again. Fair enough that the audience experience will be unique each time there's an audience, even for a film. I understand that, but the film is static. It's not going to change, right? Whereas each night, there's going to be something different on stage, and or in our case, comedy, and it's there's no substitute for that. I don't know of anything else. I mean, obviously, a musical concert is live, and so the audience interacts with the performers in that setting as well. But I think because music is otherwise available in streaming and recording and all that, whereas granted, live theater is now becoming more available as a recording and or a live streaming. But I don't know, there's something about the energy, the electricity of being there, is what to me, that's what it really comes down to. And that's what distinguishes it from any other form. There really is nothing else like that experience of being together with other folks in an auditorium or even a little 30-seat theater, and one of the actors flubs a line or misses a cue or something, and that's not going to necessarily happen tomorrow. Interesting. One of the companies I'm working with now is Impro Theater. I don't know if you know them, but they do improvised theater, as it sounds, and we're only doing them online in Edinburgh, but I'm very excited about getting them to Edinburgh because they do shows in the style of, and so each night's performance is by definition different, let alone if it was just a regular scripted play of, O'Neill or something, it would be, different because every night the dialogue could be, your intonation could be different. You could ask the question at the end of the sentence instead of the beginning, whatever. This is intentionally different every night. And so it's based on, they will do a show in the style of Jane Austen based on improvised suggestions from the audience. And they are awesome at it because they're pros and they have it down pat. So that may be the extreme example of improv where it's really by definition incredibly different each time you see it. And you could go back, every night and see something different. And that's just not true of most other forms of entertainment. And that's why this whole year, being sort of online and stuff has been tough for a lot of us, probably most of us, because the whole thing about theater is it's live. You're there. I mean, even live streaming isn't the same, right? Because there's a distance. We're live right now, but it's not the same as you and I being in a room together, and certainly not if we were, an audience and a performer. So I'm sort of anxious to get back to that, and we are getting back to that. The show that we're talking about is going to be performed live on the Hollywood Fringe stage, and we have 3 in Edinburgh this year. Down from we would normally have about 10 shows. We have 3 live shows and 2 online. But I just find theater, there's nothing like it really. I mean, it's the excitement of, it's live. Anything could happen, and does, as you know.